Hello, and thank you for tuning into our market update for November 2020. If you're watching this content on YouTube and find it useful, please click that little red subscribe button down below to make sure you don't miss out on any future updates. All right, the market continued to roll along in October, once again outperforming the 10-year average for the month by a considerable amount, and overall prices continued to rise. So without any further ado, let's take a look at the numbers. Let's start off with our updated numbers year to date, starting with sales figures. We had 3,687 sales throughout the Greater Vancouver region for the month of October. This is almost an identical figure to what we saw in September, only a 1.2% change in fact. And September was a high water mark for the year in terms of sales numbers, so by surpassing it, October officially took over as the month with the heaviest sales volume for 2020. Next, let's take a look at the total listings, aka inventory, which dropped slightly to 12,416. So this was a drop of just over 5%, not a very significant amount at all. And with sales up slightly and listings going in the opposite direction, this means demand is up, supply is down, and our months of inventory drops to 3.4 months, which sits in a seller's market. So just to recap, anytime we see less than 4 months of inventory, this is a seller's market, which means there is not enough supply to keep up with demand, which in turn means upward pressure on prices. And sure enough, the benchmark price for all property types crept up by 0.4% to $1,045,000. In general, I think it's quite interesting how little change there was in October over September. Very low variance in this last column that you can see on the right, which means that October was basically identical to September in terms of market performance. And if we look at how October performed against historical averages, sales were nearly 35% higher than the 10-year average. Now, looking at prices, here's a glimpse of the home price index since the beginning of 2019. You can see that September of last year was the bottom of the most recent cycle with a benchmark price of $984,200. Fast forward to today, and that benchmark price has jumped to $1,045,100, which equates to a 6.2% increase over the last 13 months. Fairly significant amount, especially in a pandemic, I would say. Now, I always find visuals so powerful, so I wanted to also show you what this graph looks like when we zoom out a little bit and take a look at 3 years out. And you can see it looks a little bit less aggressive and intimidating at 3 years. And this one here is over 5 years. And you can see in 5 years, prices are up 61%. Not a bad return on investment if you ask me. And the last piece of business that I want to touch on today is something that I've been talking about for the last several months, and that's the situation with downtown condos. Now, this market has been really struggling since the start of the pandemic, and I've touched on why that is several times, including the ability for many people to now work from home, therefore not needing to be close to the downtown core. The lack of foreign students that's taken a bite out of the investor market, and people being able to afford more space as a result of record low interest rates. The list is really long, actually. So the last slide I want to show you is the sold price per square foot on the west side of downtown. And you can see where the market peaked back in the spring of 2018, and it simply hasn't recovered to those levels since. It actually was trending in the right direction at the beginning of the year, right before COVID hit, but since then it's continued to underperform. And with inventory levels quite high and staying high, it's likely this will continue into at least the early part of the new year. Now, as Winston Churchill famously said, never let a good crisis go to waste. I think some of that can definitely be applied here. I don't think this trend will last forever. The government has already announced a very aggressive immigration plan over the next several years to stimulate the economy post-COVID, which will certainly push demand throughout the region and most definitely in the downtown core. So if you're looking to scoop up a really good deal downtown, you might not find more favorable market conditions than this coming December, January, February. All right, that's going to do it for this month. We had another strong month in October with sales registering 35% above the 10-year average for the month. Prices are up 6% over a year ago, and there's some good deals to be had if you're looking for a downtown condo. So thank you as always for tuning in, and we'll catch up with you again before Christmas. Bye for now.